Recipes. Hello, welcome. Today we will have a lesson in ancient Greek cooking together. We will give you the recipe for lamb with celery root puree and mushrooms with honey. Also, a very good sweet with dried fruit and nuts. Ancient Greeks may not have had all we have today, implements and ingredients, but their cooking was rich and royal. It is very difficult to imagine cooking without the basic ingredients we have today. Ancient Greeks cooked without tomatoes, potatoes, lemons, eggplant, rice. All these are today among the basic materials in every recipe we make. What we will do now is show you the mima, as it was called, which was pretty much like a tigania, cubed meats, made with meat, poultry or fish or game, and they used honey, fruits such as raisins, dried figs, pomegranates, which were basic ingredients. Some of the basic ingredients in their recipes, lots of herbs and lots of spices. They also used a condiment called Garis. So, Garis is an ingredient that is no longer used in Greek cooking, but is used in Asian cooking as fish sauce. What was Garis exactly? They took large fish, salted them heavily, left them in the sun for about 3 months, and this produced a liquid which they filtered, and despite the awful smell, it was used as a condiment to boost flavor and as salt in food. The smell was lost in cooking, leaving a really good intense flavor in food. So let us now prepare our meal. The first recipe, which will be the tigania made of lamb, where we use all the offal and the intestine, usually from the animal. A tiny detail is that once upon a time they also used the animal's blood at the end of frying in order to thicken its sauce, using it as a thickening agent. We don't do this today. We don't use the animal's blood. Well, if we need to thicken the sauce a little, then we will use corn flour or we will use flour. We cut the meat in small bite-sized pieces, removing as much of the fat as possible, and we do the same with the offal, which we also cut to bite-sized pieces. An implement that they must have used daily and generally in all recipes was the mortar, in which they crushed ingredients instead of finely chopping them. What exactly must we crush? Something that is made much mention of in ancient Greek recipes are celery leaves. Something else we will crush together with these is coriander. Coriander seeds and fresh coriander leaves were used in all recipes. Then come cumin seeds and any other spice in seed form that needs to be crushed in the mortar. Poppy seeds. And these we crush and will add to our dish later. We have the first mixture ready. And we have the celery, coriander, cumin, poppy seed and honey mixture. We will use the sultanas, the pomegranate, which we must break open and get the pomegranate seeds. And now that we are here, we will show you an easy way to cut the pomegranate and take the seeds. You cut it down to the middle. Take a bassina and a wooden spoon and hit the back of the pomegranate with a wooden spoon. The next ingredient is an onion, peeled and roughly chopped. We are ready with our ingredients, and now we will cook our lamb. The first thing we will do is heat our frying pan. The pan must be hot when we add our ingredients, even the oil, because we want the ingredients to start sizzling the minute we put them in the frying pan. If we don't sear them correctly, our ingredients begin to stew. Something they did in ancient Greece was that good pieces of meat, such as boneless steaks, were cooked on the grill or on hot stones, and they served them with some spices, and the rest of the meat, the offal or anything else that was of lower quality, they cooked with vegetables and with other herbs. When our frying pan is ready, we will add the oil and then the meat. So we will sear the meat in oil and then cook it. As soon as our meat is ready, we will add the onions. We will continue cooking until the onions are cooked and are almost transparent. We are ready to add our vinegar. The moment of adding the vinegar plays a significant role. It is what we call putting out. Putting out the cooking heat is very important in cooking. As soon as we see the color that the food must have, after which if we leave it, it will burn, we put out the food, which means that we pour a cold liquid in the pan. The temperature of the meat is reduced and it stops the meat from burning. At this point, we are ready to add our spices and all the herbs, except the fresh coriander, which we will add in the end. We will add the pomegranate, which is also one of the ingredients that adds the sour flavor to the food, which is called sweet and sour. We have savory. We have thyme. And finally, we will add what the dish needs, namely the sweetness we will add to the sweet and sour, and this is none other than the sultanas and honey. Our meat is ready. The only thing we must do now is make its accompaniment, the celery puree, with the celery root and the mushrooms with honey. The first accompaniment for our meat, celery root puree with onion and herbs. Celery root must be an ingredient that they used quite a lot. It has a very good flavor. It is a good material to work with. A very good accompaniment. We will peel it and cut it in pieces. The size depends on how quickly you want them to cook. What we will do next is cook the celery root with 1 onion. To make the sauce that will accompany, or rather round off, the celery root puree, we need half a glass of wine, 2 tablespoons of Garis, we need to finely chop fresh oregano, and finely chopped celery leaves. We will add lots of black pepper and 1 spoonful of olive oil. We will put this back on the heat to simmer for about 5 minutes to consolidate the flavors.
Και να ενωθούν όλες οι γεύσεις μαζί. Ανοίγω λίγο. Είμαστε έτοιμοι να συνεχίσουμε.
We are ready to continue the celery root puree. What we need now is to drain the celery root and the onion.
Τη σελινόριζα και το κρεμμύδι.
We drain them well. We will try to allow as much water as possible to drain from the celery root and the onion. In the blender. Of course, now we use the modern way, but in those days things were different. This puree would have been made in a mortar, or they would force it through a fine metal sieve. We are ready to continue. We are ready to continue with the celery root puree. We take the puree and we add it in the mixture we made of Garis, herbs, spices and black pepper. Next, after we stir the celery root puree with the herbs and spices and with the wine, we will simmer it again until all the moisture evaporates from the puree and it thickens. We are ready. We leave it to cool a little and allow the last trace of moisture in it to evaporate. And we now go to make the mushrooms with the honey. What we need again to begin is to heat our frying pan well and cut the mushrooms.
Και να κόψουμε τα μανιτάρια.
You will notice that in ancient Greek recipes, they always talk of big, wide-headed mushrooms. Therefore, these can only be plevrotus mushrooms. We cut them in big juliennes. They will shrink in the pan. When our pan is ready and hot, We will add the rest of our ingredients.
Τα υπόλοιπα τα υλικά μας.
A little Garis, a little oil, a little honey.
Λίγο λάδι. Λίγο μέλι.
We will allow it to cook and bind together.
Θα βάλουμε
We will
λίγο
add some celery seeds.
σπόρο σέλινου.
If you can't find celery seeds, you will use finely chopped celery leaves or crushed fennel seeds. And when it has heated up, we will add the mushrooms. We will mix them well with the ingredients we have used.
Μαζί με τα υλικά που βάλαμε μέσα. Και θα τα αφήσουμε.
And we will let them caramelize with the honey and the oil we have added.
Να εξατμιστεί λίγο από την υγρασία τους και να καραμελώσουμε μαζί με το μέλι και το λάδι που προσθέσαμε. Αυτό που προσθέτουμε.
What we will add at the end is black pepper. We have found out that pepper was always used where there was honey or in sweets. Black pepper works as a flavor booster for sweet flavors. It is like salt is used as a flavor booster for sharp flavors, such as lemon. Now we have all the ingredients of the first dish ready. I think it is time to put our plate together. We will put our tigania on the plate. Of course, plates have changed a lot. The plates they used in those days were made of wood or metal. There could even be large slices of bread. The mushrooms. Another thing that was customary, a few pieces of hard cheese. A little garnish of the fresh oregano we used. I believe that this is a dish fit for an ancient Greek king.